So here I just wanted to go over this interesting decidability question that I came across recently. So it's this one. It was actually it's the very first problem of the very first problem set of this complexity theory course. And this problem set seemed to be one of those are you in the right class types of problem sets. It wasn't supposed to be very challenging. And all the other problems on this problem set, I would say if you remember the tricks or things you get just instantly. And so reading through it's like, oh, no, this, no, this, no, this. And seeing through all this, every single one except for part A of this, I was like, how do you do this? My immediate thought is that, yes, A is undecidable. But then I think, how do you do a reduction to go from, you might think to reduce from the halting problem to this problem? And I think, it's just sort of not working out. Clearly it seems to be able to get infinite information from there. And it might look at first that B also gets infinite information, but we'll see why this is decidable. And so I really encourage spending some time, if this is something you do on undecidability, trying to solve this problem, because I thought it was worthwhile, and it definitely took me longer than, I don't know, 5 times the amount of time I spent on all of the other problems combined. So I thought it was interesting. But it turned out to be a neat little trick. So I'll go over B, which is quick, because I think that gives you an idea of what's going on. So L2 is a language. M is a Turing machine that for all n, we want to determine if for all n in inputs x, it halts within this many steps. The constants don't matter. A constant number of steps. We'll call the constant big C equals 18405. But again, these numbers don't matter. So how do we know that that is decidable? Well, the reason is in 18,405 steps with the locality of Turing machines, you can't even read every entry on a tape. So like you imagine you have a 1-tape Turing machine. You can't read see many entries in that much time. And so you could literally make a formula where you have variables for all of the inputs from 0 to 18,405, or sorry, if it's a double-sided tape as it should be, from negative C to positive C. And you could solve this formula, basically have a formula that encodes all the transitions, and you can have, 18 C many layers. So you have C many layers. This is basically just the proof of the Cook-Levin theorem. And then once you have this large formula with all these variables for the different states, you could bash it out for every single combination and see if any of them have a combination where at the end of it, you're still running after C many states. And so in essence, this will take, I don't know, if you do it in a lazy way, to the C squared times, the time to evaluate one, we'll call it some K, one kind of logic gate. So it'll take a while, but it's certainly finite time. And so this language, B, is certainly decidable because you can give an algorithm to decide it. A is not. And the trick for A, I realize, is that the first thing I was thinking is it must be a halting problem. But this turns out to be, I don't know, somewhat difficult. But you can give a standard carp reduction from the complement of the halting problem to L1. So to remind, if it's been a while, the halting problem, you accept an input like this, m comma x, a description of a Turing machine, and an input if m on x halts. And so this is the opposite. You accept m on x if m computing on x doesn't halt. It loops forever. And so what do you do? What's the reduction? So we're given an input. We want to reduce to L1, which, remember, L1 is basically equal to, it's Turing machines M, such that for all x, absolute value of x equals n, m on x halts within some constant dn squared plus another constant e steps. Again, the constants don't really matter. You kind of hope they're large enough for whatever model you're using to be able to have enough room to do certain reductions. But even if they're not large enough to do that, it doesn't really matter, because you can ignore things like this grows as n squared. You can ignore the first however many inputs when talking about decidability or not, and then just work with inputs bigger than a certain constant n and larger. So for all x of size n, we want to say m on x halts within dn squared plus e. So it definitely feels like we're somehow going over an infinite amount of information. Well, let's see. How do we do this reduction? Well, if we have m comma x, how do we turn this into an instance of this? Well, we'll turn it into an instance which I'll write this way. And this will be a machine that does this. On input x, run m, so you're simulating on x for, sorry, run at, I'm using x twice, that's not good. On input y, run m on x for y, for the size of y, steps. And if m halts within the y steps, run for an extra, d y squared, however many it is needed to make sure this condition doesn't hold. Otherwise, halt as normal. So what's going on? How is this a valid reduction? Well, let's say m halts on x. Well, if m halts on x, there's going to be some amount of steps, let's say it's k, steps where it will halt. And then the input 1 to the k of, if we on input 1 to the k, 1k many times, we'll run it for that many steps and we'll realize the halting. And once we've realized the halting, we say, oh, then we don't want this condition to hold, so we just run it an extra amount of times. Now, what about the other side? What if m does not halt on x? Well, if m doesn't halt on x, on every single one of these simulations, it'll stop within y steps. And so it'll never reach the dn squared plus e. And so again, we're assuming dn squared plus e is greater than n plus, whatever the constants are needed to do this simulation. So really cn plus k. And so if it never halts, then it will never run for this extra amount of steps, violating this condition. And I think what was confusing to me is that it feels like you would reduce from the regular halting problem to this problem. And I was trying to make that work. But it was interesting that you do this inversion. That if it halts, you make sure it goes over the halting thing, because you can recognize that it halts on a specific input. And if it doesn't halt, you just keep doing this forever. So I just thought it was maybe something worth talking about.